let me just say hello, Cindy.
Hi there.
And thank you so much for joining us on this series. I know that you will be presenting the Windrush segment.
That's correct.
Can you just introduce yourself to our viewers and, just tell us a little bit, because I know that you're coming up in a few minutes or so, what you will be doing.
Well, again, I am very, very glad, and similar to you, I'm very, very excited because, as you mentioned, it's the Windrush 70. So between this year and next year, there's going to be a whole series of events, and obviously we'll be on a whole series of shows on Caribbean Gateway, talking about Windrush 70, talking about all the different people who have been influential in the UK. And again, a lot of exciting things will be happening, different people and different events. So yeah, again, I'm very glad to be part of Caribbean Gateway.
All right, I'll just leave that for you to tell our viewers a little bit more on that coming up on the show.
Hi there, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the Caribbean Gateway with the Windrush 70 segment. And I'm very excited because I have with me Arthur Torrington, CBE, and he is one of the founder members of the Windrush Foundation. So I'd like to welcome Arthur Torrington.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
So I'd like to really ask you, thank you for being here today. And as Lavina mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about the Windrush project, Windrush 70, but I'd really like to start from the beginning. So can you tell me a little bit about Windrush Foundation? How did it first start and what were your hopes?
Okay, now in 1995, Sam King, the late Sam King, he actually came and asked me to form an organization and we would be able to remember the people who came on the Windrush ship, because he was on the ship. He and a number of other people were on the ship. So he asked me to think in terms of commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Empire Windrush, and that's what we began to plan. And the 50th anniversary was in 1998. So we got together and...
how did you first meet?
Well, we met way back in 1983 when Sam King was the mayor of Southwark.
Right, okay.
He was the first black mayor of Southwark, and he caused a stir in terms of what he said and what he did, but he was a very important man in 1983. So I met him then. I interviewed him for Capital Radio. I was a volunteer on Capital Radio in those early days, and then eventually he asked me to actually organize a gospel concert at Southwark Cathedral. So we developed a great friendship, and therefore in 1995 we more or less began to talk about Windrush. Now, I didn't know a lot about Windrush when I first knew him, that's the thing. But he felt that coming up to the 50th anniversary, we must do something about it.
Yeah, it's quite a significant amount of time that's passed. Yeah.
That's right. So we organized the first grand celebration in '98. We had a lot of interest from the media, from the BBC, ITV, and what really set it off was a reception at St. James Palace. And that was hosted by Prince Charles. And that was an event that we had very many Windrush people.
Oh wow!
In at the palace, so he was able to meet quite a number of people there.
Yeah.
Most of them now have passed away, unfortunately.
But that must have been incredible to gather all those people in 1998 and have them all after obviously 50 years, and they might not have seen each other. They've obviously led different lives.
Yes.
They've obviously different things. So when you did that event in 1998, what was the kind of impetus of what was expected after 1998?
Okay, now it's interesting that you said that, because 98 was a starting point, or a point at which Black British heritage kicked off. In the sense that the public began to know that there was something about our people. Not that we weren't here before Windrush. We were here hundreds of years before Windrush.
Yes.
But 1948 was a particular time in the history of this country where a ship comes in with over 500 people, and there was a big fuss, even in Parliament, you see. Yeah. I understand that the ship was delayed at the Thames estuary.
By a day?
Well, at least a good number of hours, and Parliament was discussing whether the ship should land. That was a ridiculous thing about it. Anyway, it landed. But that was a point in history that ensured that the Caribbean people who came were able to eventually settle down and actually contributed to changing the culture in this country, and also for developing multiculturalism in a way in which it hadn't known before.
So in 1998, so when did the Windrush Foundation start?
Well, we became a charity in 1996.
Okay.
A charity. Okay. And then we were able to organize events and hold it under that charity number. So going back to 98, the point about that is that there were so many events going on in the country to do with Windrush, all over Britain, Leeds, Birmingham, etc. And many of the actual Windrush people were interviewed on television, on radio, and so on. So that was I was very pleased that Windrush was able to create or help to create an interest in Black British heritage.
So if you're celebrating Windrush 70, so how long has the Windrush Foundation been around? Well, we've been around, like, let's say, functioning as a charity for, let's say, 22 years, right? 23 years. But the main thing there is that we have been developing, a brand of heritage which would give our people, and I said our people, I mean of Caribbean heritage, a chance to show that, there's a history, there's a proud history, there's a lasting heritage, history, contributing to this country being what it is today. So after 1998, you had this huge event, and so since 1998, what has the Windrush Foundation been doing? What other things have they been doing since then?
That's a good question, in the sense that we had to keep going and developing the story. We had events sponsored and hosted by various people, by Baroness Howells, by in fact, I should have said that in 1997 we had an event hosted by Bernie Grant. He's passed away now. Yeah. He was the first one to have done it, and we look back at that event with great pleasure from Bernie. So we're happy that he had done that. But throughout the last 20 years, we've done a number of important things.
Yes.
For example, we had events in London, held events in Birmingham. One of the events we had in Birmingham, although we have a sister organization called the Equiana Society, we had a massive exhibition there featuring Olaudah Equiano. We had a space in the gas hall of 1,000 square meters, and we were able to present Equiano, but that's a different thing. He was pre-Windrush, this particular Olaudah Equiano. But 3 years ago, we had an important event, which was called Making Freedom.
Okay.
Making Freedom was a highlight in the sense that we featured the ancestors in 1832. This is Sam Sharp. And before him, we featured Bussa in Barbados, 1816. We featured Quamina in Demerara in 1823. So Windrush Foundation isn't only doing things from 1948.
Yes.
We're doing things before that, way back in the 18th century as well.
So it's almost like encompassing all of Caribbean history and heritage, and discussing all the varying issues and all the interconnectedness of it all. That's right. Doing projects that really do make an impact. Indeed.
Okay. I think we feel very positive about allowing or getting our younger people to understand the history and to make them proud of the history as well, because the history isn't taught as we ought to know in the schools. You see? So what we do is to ensure, or try to ensure then, that is actually taught in schools, or if not, we would actually do it, you know, in seminars on Saturday schools, Sunday schools. We would do it.
So it's really just trying to make sure that the jigsaw puzzle of Caribbean heritage and the Windrush is trying to make sure that those jigsaw pieces are in the public eye, making sure that people know about it, and it's for different ages, for young people and for older people and all the people in between.
Indeed, because after all, the older people who, well, people who are older now, they were the younger people in 1948.
Of course, yes.
Sam King came in, he was, what, 22? Well, I mean, he came back on the ship, but he serves in the war. I think we must also note this, which is that the people on the Windrush ship, most of them were ex-service people.
Okay.
They served in the war.
So they were servicemen and air, and they had various different roles within.
Well, indeed, they had different roles in the RAF, at least the RAF. Okay. But the point there is that those who came back knew about the country, and they were young people. Yeah. When they actually began to serve as RAF, you know, personnel, they were teenagers. Yeah. You see, so when they came back on the ship, they actually were in the early 20s. So Sam King was in his early 20s, and many others who were a part. So today, if Sam King was around, he would have been 91. So you're looking at older people now. Yeah. You're looking at a range of ages and so on. But yet, we want to span that particular era, which is called the Windrush Generation. So
when you say the Windrush generation, do you mean only the people who are on the ship, or do you mean the people on the ship and significant others?
Well, yes. The name is given because this particular ship is a significant ship. It caused a lot of fuss in Parliament, which means that is an iconic name then. Not that there weren't ships before that brought people into the country. For example, you had Alamanzura, and my friend Alan Wilmot, who is age 92 now, he was on the Alamanzura and landed the 21st of December in 1947. Wow. You see? So in that sense, that sort of history sort of, you know, is always remembered in a particular way. So the Windrush generation then would be anybody else who is still benefiting from the Windrush experience. Now, mark you, this particular set of people who came, they laid the foundation for anybody else who came.
Yes, they did.
So in that sense, I mean, they encouraged people to come to the country in 1948, 49. In a sense, they were like forerunners.
The pioneers.
Well, in the sense that had they not succeeded and felt good about this country, then people wouldn't have come. Yeah. You see?
So can I ask then, on that note, so the Windrush has been around Foundation has been around for 22 years. Obviously, it was founded by yourself and Sam King and others. You've done all this significant and very impactful work, and so now you have the Windrush 70 project. Could you tell us more about that?
Now, here we have 70 years of the Windrush Generation, if you want to call it that again, in which we look back at what's happened in those 70 years and reflect. Now, not everything that has happened, you know, was good. We acknowledge that, but a lot more that has happened was good, some bad. So we want to reflect on that experience. We want to reflect on, you know, those years of difficulty, what we can do now about those difficult years,
and the successes.
How we can tell our young people about those years, because they don't necessarily know about it. Now, we want to tell a particular story, which is a Windrush story of the journey of people. What did they do? How did they do it? About their descendants, their
predecessors,
their children and stuff. What have they done? We want to highlight people like Harold Phillips, for example. Harold Phillips, who was known as Lord Woodbine, for example. He was involved in the early days of the Beatles, Paul McCartney and John Lennon. We want to highlight that contribution to show that these men didn't just come and milk the country.
Yeah, they gave something.
They gave something and contributed to something good. You see, you can't write off Harold Phillips and Lord Woodbine as insignificant.
No.
Because the Beatles are what they are, well, what they have been.
Yeah.
Because he was involved in the Hamburg event, etc. And that was good. In fact, not only that, he introduced them to the steel pan. You see, the Beatles. So we want to look back at those particular years to show that all along the line, the contribution of these important people, I mean, most of them have passed on now.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that...
Not forgotten.
But not forgotten.
Yes.
Not forgotten. So in essence, that's Windrush 70, reflecting the 70 years, looking forward to the next 70 years. But the main thing is that it's acknowledged what we've done.
So can I just ask one last thing? So if people want to get involved in the project, how would they get in touch and obviously keep up to date with the project?
Okay, now this project was launched on the 11th of October, just a number of days ago, and we had a good number of people who came to listen to what we had to say. We had to tell them what we intend to do. We intend to publish a booklet of 70 important people who contributed to the country. I'm sure we would eventually mention people like Bernie Grant, and who's contributed in a way in which was outstanding.
Yes.
We want volunteers to come into what we're doing and be a part of it, to learn, learn to do maybe script writing, learn to do presentational things in terms of knowing how the history is to be presented. We also want them to come in and engage with the public as well, you see, to do research.
So it's very exciting, very, very exciting.
Indeed, you see. So there's so many things. So people will have to then, look at our website.
What's the website?
Well, it's windrushfoundation.org.
Okay, and also if the people want to email you, which email would they use?
Okay, it'll be windrush.project@gmail.com.
Say that one more time.
Windrush.project@gmail.com.
Super, wonderful. So there's going to be lots of exciting things, lots of exciting projects and different types of things going on. I'd like to say thank you very much for taking the time, Mr. Arthur Torrington, to talk about Windrush Foundation as well as the Windrush 70 project. And obviously we'll keep people up to date. And again, thank you for being here today. And I'd like to hand back to Lavina.